An advertisement completely gone wrong. Tanishq, a popular jewellery label of the Tata Group, recently withdrew an advertisement. The ad had a tale of interfaith marriage and it received a massive backlash on social media. People have been blaming the Muslims for marrying their girls in a systematic way to bring new converts to Islam. The ad in itself showcases how the mother-in-law accepts the daughter-in-law's traditions for a baby shower and hosts the event. Soon after the ad was released, the brand got trolled mercilessly and Boycott Tanishq started trending on various social media platforms. Netizens shared hate messages against the makers and demanded that the advertisement be removed. The brand pulled down the video from all its social media handles and the YouTube channel. They also published an apology for hurting the sentiments of people and also for the well-being of its employees, partners and store staff. An apology note condemning the ad was also put up on the entrance door of an outlet of Tanishq in Gandhidham in Kutch district of Gujarat. There were death threats to people associated with the brand and the ad. The brand manager behind the ad was compelled to withdraw his social media profiles over such threats. The brand store in Gujarat, which put up the apology note on its front door, was also reported to have been attacked by some people, but the showroom manager and the local police denied such reports. Pictures of the apology note have been circulating on the internet. Other than the hate mongers, there is also a section of people who claim that the ad is instead beautiful and promotes acceptance of cultures. Interfaith couples who have come out in support of the ad are being harassed online and they have been forced to file FIRs. In a world of aggression around religion and an ongoing global conflict based on religion, any suggestion of interfaith marriages can throw a diverse society off its feet. But one cannot forget that patriarchy and a divisive society can only give rise to more conflict. New Delhi Bureau, Democracy News Live.
Good evening. I welcome you to Democracy News Live, our show It Matters. The last 1 week has seen how intolerance and bigotry finally reflects itself in society. The pulling down of the ad, beyond that, people talking about how interfaith couples are about this systematic strategy, and many religions, how they try and convert, is something that we all need to look at seriously. But there are many who have pushed back. Couples who've gone out, who've been in interfaith marriages, have gone and pushed back. Movie directors and producers and marketing experts who've come and talked about, sorry, this is no way to treat a brand. This is no way to actually run a society which is so diverse. And there are so many interfaith marriages. When we begin seeing ads being pulled down for the reason of interfaith marriage, then we're already looking at a far greater challenge around society, because society learns from these things at the end of the day. However, there are brands like Parle and Bajaj who've gone out and said they will not sponsor ads on toxic television channels. So I think there is certainly a movement on all sides, people who are toxic and people who are not. It's a conflict between that, and it will always win something that's not toxic. I'm joined by a very good panel today. I want to call it a good panel because these are people who want to come and talk about why they don't believe this was possibly the right action. So joining me is Ramya Sharma. She is an art and culture writer. She's written tremendously about the landscape on art. Also joining me is Marzia Rohani Dalal. She is a legal counsel, but beyond that, she works on creating better civilizations. Also joining me is Mahesh. Mahesh is a film director. He's an ad film producer. All of you, welcome to the show. Let me start by asking you, Marzia. You yourself have been in an interfaith marriage. You're married to somebody from a different religion. Explain to me, in a country like India, is that a challenge?
It shouldn't be. Really, it shouldn't be. So, my own marriage is interfaith because it happened very organically. Deepak and I were in college together. That's how we got to know each other. And in a few years, we decided that, yes, okay, we wanted to spend our life together and we got married. Because I'm a Baha'i, it was necessary that parents of both sides had to agree to the marriage because those who are familiar with the Baha'i faith will know that the very fundamental principle of the Baha'i faith is an acceptance of the unity of mankind. That yes, we have different identities, but none of those identities overtake our identity as a human being, a thinking spiritual being. And our parents had no objection. I'm a member of the Baha'i faith, Deepak is a Hindu, and both families were happily united. For both of us, this was the first marriage in the family, and I think it's been about 32 years that I've been married. It's been a very comfortable and happy marriage.
Marja, when you see an ad like Tanishq having, to pull down the advertisement, and when you see, the tremendous amount of hate mongering happening on social media and the conversations, what crosses your mind? What do you think is happening to a society like this?
Yes, I know what you're saying. It hurts a lot, especially since I've seen the advertisements several times. From my point of view, what can be wrong? What can be wrong if two adults, thinking adults, choose to marry each other despite difference of religion? So yes, the kind of hate mongering you're talking about is truly unfortunate. But my point of view is that I think the majority of the people of India are not like that. I think majority of the people of India understand its constitution. They appreciate that we live in a country that upholds equality and secularism. They respect their neighbors. And actually, that gives me a lot of hope for the future.
Let me bring in Mahesh Kodial here. Mahesh, you are very much part of the Mumbai film industry, which has obviously come under a lot of fire in the last few weeks, months. Uh,
Yeah.
but when we look at the landscape of the Indian film industry, it's a very diverse background. I've lived in Bombay and I've operated out of Bombay. I know it's a very very diverse. When something like this begins happening, is there an impact on the film industry?
See, the whole idea is we are people who think we don't have any political agenda behind whatever is thought as an idea, you know. But when such thing happens, yes, for a moment we feel that are we being restrained? Are we being stopped to, think freely? And if that happens, maybe it's for a short time. It doesn't impact us more than that. But this particular thing about Tanishq, what has happened, is really, you know, people are in two minds. Like, what is the future if we can't openly express ourselves? You know, do are we bound by any unseen, untold law? That's that's the sad
So,
part.
so what you're saying is tomorrow if a script comes to you and you see that there is a potential of, this conflagration happening, will you get worried about how you will handle the script?
No, I will avoid. Because whatever I'll leave it on that. I when the time comes, I'll handle it. Because as a filmmaker, there's a satisfaction to do something, a new idea, a new thought, and a thought that which when people see, it makes them change their mind. And I'll be the most happy to do a any subject that comes to me. But whatever is the results out of that has to be handled later. But as a filmmaker, I'll be happy to do it right away without thinking twice.
Ramya, let me bring you in here. Ramya, you cover art and culture. Certainly, when you see art and culture, it goes beyond religion. It goes beyond, boundaries, so to say. We constantly push those boundaries. When you see something like this happen to an advertisement and, boycott a brand or pull down an ad, they have to pull out apologies. The, store managers begin getting life threats. What comes to your mind? You've been a writer, in this country for many, many years.
So very simply, that people um, are not what I expect them to be. I was brought up in a very kind of democratic, secular, accepting India, and this is not what I would like to see happen to my own country and my own people. That is the first overwhelming thought that comes to mind. But also, I think that this is a creative expression, for lack of any other word. So why? And it's just demonstrative of an emotion that people are trying to convey. So why are people getting so narrow-minded and so intolerant and so unaccepting of what other people are about? I mean, Marzia is married to somebody of a different religion, and that's working out really well. Mahesh has made a film which is very, very sensitive, which worked out pretty well. I've done stories on all sorts of things which are equally sensitive. I have a family that's multicultural and completely mixed. I've been brought up one foot here, one foot in the West. So to me, this seems really stupid that people should not accept a short film that is actually very sweet. Yeah, it's a bit mushy, it's a bit the emotional sledgehammer kind of thing, but it expresses something which needs to be said, which is not. So that upsets me. That really saddens me that we've become so, so, so small as a people, as a mindset, as a culture.
Um, I hear you, Ramya. Marcia, now there is one thought about the idea of respecting others' religions. And, we see a certain tonality in India today. We see a tonality of pushing back on other cultures and other religions that a lot of Hindus today feel, the Hindus which are rising again, feel that the Hinduism has been suppressed. In fact, they talk about, in mass, conversations around conversions and pagan worship and all of that. Is this a pushback from Hinduism, or is there something else when you look at, the analysis of a society? What's happening here from your perspective?
May I give a few opinions on this?
I'm asking you, Marzia. Absolutely.
Okay, all right. I wonder why we think the way you have described, because throughout the world, Hinduism today is known as one of the most tolerant religions in the world. It does not have that blood-stained of other religions. For instance, in the 16th century, I think, Europe had fought its wars over religion, and about 1/3 of the European population was killed in that bloodshed. That's not a history that India, has in its history books, and we should be proud of that. So why is it that this legacy is not being carried forward? A legacy of peace, of tolerance, of justice? It saddens me what we see happening.
No, absolutely. And one of those things when a lot of people say that, all the other religions have gone through their phases of violence, and that's when they have come out and they are where they're at. And then the people who follow Hinduism seem to be also, some of them seem to be preaching, obviously they're on the far right, and that's not the overall population, seem to be preaching about, doesn't matter if you're violent, let's get by, let's recreate this world. As a minority living in a country like India, do you even feel threatened?
To be honest, I haven't. You know, I do know we have think and yes, act. The way you have described, they have chosen violent methods over the more universally accepted methods of discussion, consultation, tolerance, and acceptance, mediation, all of these things. If you're unhappy about something, 21st century has well-proven means by which differences can be sorted out. But I take, yes, and I read the papers and I look at news television and I know what you're talking about. But I still cling to my own observation that the majority are not like that. That this is a minority, a very vocal, and when you're violent, yes, you make it into the headlines, you garner all the attention to yourself. But no, I don't think this is the India that I know. And so, really, I don't feel threatened.
Uh, Mahesh, as a filmmaker, it's been very much a part of, using the cultural avenues to showcase the partnership, the relationships, very much what the Mumbai film industry, as described as Bollywood, kind of thrives on. Do you think the Mumbai film industry is going to come together even stronger post events like these? Mahesh, I think I've lost Mahesh there when his network is back. Ramya, you cover art and culture in Mumbai, and obviously in other parts of the world. Explain to me, what is Mumbai's reaction as you speak to your friends in Bollywood, as you speak to people in Bollywood? What is their reaction? Are they going to come back with a
Well,
vengeance?
Rohit, Bollywood is one of those very sort of sober rubber um, environments. They will protest because it is the thing to protest. I'm not sure how many people actually mean the protest and are very sincere about the protest. They will object to things which are obviously objectionable. What they say and do at home or off camera could be different. I could be being completely unfair to people. I don't know. The wave of protest will come, but like waves of anything, they go away after a while. So the genuine people will be sort of subdued after a point and be told, look, you can't say anything too loudly, your films won't do well, your art exhibitions will be boycotted. If you remember a few years ago, there was a Pakistani artist displaying in Bombay in a very well known gallery. I remember covering it. And he he was threatened in all sorts of ways. The exhibitions in various other parts had to be withdrawn. So there is that. Well, Marzia says that she doesn't really think that this is her India, and it's not the overwhelming majority of people. It is a very strong minority. It is loud, it is rabid, it is um, dangerous, and it is destructive. And whether it's Bollywood or whether it's art, whether it's glamour, whether it's lifestyle, whether it's ordinary life, that sort of wave continues. And it does cause a lot of damage. It causes a lot of closed minds being afraid to say anything. When I lived in Delhi for a while, for instance, I was told not to mention certain parts of my family who are not Hindu because, it was not done. I had friends in Pakistan, I was told I could talk about them. So the intolerance is not just about one situation where in a marriage, which is shown in an ad, the Muslim mother looks after the Hindu daughter in the Hindu tradition, but it's a much greater intolerance. It's a much greater kind of situation that everybody has to deal with. And sane people are trying to deal with it. It's just, in the more open, obvious, visible aspects of our society, that dealing with it comes with noise. You have to be seen and heard, and you have to, make your opinions felt very loudly. But it passes very quickly. And while everybody says, the Khans are Muslim and they're still making a big name in a very Hindu-centric environment, if they weren't famous, if they weren't Khans, would they be there? Is a question you have to ask. The same thing comes with art. Same thing comes with advertising.
I hear you. Is Mahesh's network restored? I'd like to ask that question. Mahesh, is he back? If Mahesh is not back, then Marzia, may I ask, you work on creating better civilizations, you work on creating better societies, and a lot of the work of the Baha'is, obviously it's come under pressure in many parts of the world. That's the reality. In Iran, for example, the regime has fought the religion, tooth and nail. But tell me, when you see things like this unfolding, do you think there is more work for people such as yourselves to kind of help create the better environment, educate people? And how do you do that?
I think this is the work of all of us. I'm very proud to be an Indian and to live in India. And I believe this is a country that has immense moral and which also has shown a great deal of resilience. And I think this is the kind of constructive resilience, as opposed to destructive. This is the kind of resilience that right-minded people, people who do believe in the principles of equality, of peace, of tolerance, that's what we have to show. And we show it through what we say, how we behave, and most importantly, in our interactions with other people, including those who are not like ourselves. I think we need to be looking at solutions. Of course, one analyzes a problem, but the discussion is not complete till we are also looking at solutions. And the solutions require everyone who is unhappy with what is happening, who is worried about the intolerance, to actually start doing the opposite, to behave in a way that shows what it's like to really be free and to allow others to have a similar freedom.
Beautifully said,
Walking our
Marzia.
talk, we're not really being truthful to what we believe in.
Yeah, beautifully said. Now, the reality is that I've never seen a society in my life. I've traveled around the world. I've never seen a society which is growing fast when it had regressive attitudes. When societies became homogenous, they became closed, they've usually gone back in time. There have lack of peace. There has been challenges around it and greater challenges as it grows. I've yet to see a society which was completely closed and actually was making progress ahead. I understand egalitarianism is very much a part of that. Right to proper value systems is a great thing, but having a homogeneous, backward-looking society is not possibly the way to be. Ramya, Mahesh, Marzia, thank you for joining me for this show. We continue to push the boundaries and we will continue to cover stories that matter. Thank you for watching. Good night and good luck.